Hey guys, welcome back to Britt's Book Corner. I'm super excited about today's video because today's video I get to show you the top 9 favorite books of mine from all of the books I read in 2019. I am super excited to share these with you. They will be in no particular order and I will just talk about them vaguely and get you guys interested in these books as well. First book I want to talk about today is by Jane Ann Krentz, and it is called White Lies. This book is about Claire, who has a psychic ability, who has the ability to be a human lie detector. So if you tell her a lie, she's going to know you're lying to her, and she's not going to tell you, but she's going to know you're lying. And so with that whole aspect going on, there's also a murder mystery. And the murder mystery is she finds a dead body in the basement of her dead aunt's house. And there's suspicion in the town that she did it. She's under, speculation. She's got a lot going on. She could be a member of this whole society. But I really like this book. I like the aspect of, the whole society of paranormal, psychic ability people, called the Arcane Society. I like that the whole murder mystery feel is happening, but I also like that there's a romance aspect to it. That even though she is a psychic ability person, she is a psychic, she can tell these things. I really like that this book kind of just keeps you wanting to read more and wanting to know what happens next. So I really think anybody should read this book. It is vaguely paranormal. It's not like super paranormal, but it's vaguely paranormal, and I really, really recommend this book because it's a great read. It's a quick read, and the suspense and the murder mystery aspect will keep you turning the pages. Next book I want to talk about is by Fern Michaels. It's called Pretty Woman. The reason this book stuck out to me so much in 2019 is because I'm on a weight loss journey on my own, and so this book has a female character who is also on a weight loss journey, but she's also kind of doing it for revenge. And she wins the lottery, and her ex is after her, wanting his share because they're married. He wants his share of the money because she won it while they were married, and he's trying to find a way to tell her, oh yeah, you owe me that money, and he's vindictive, and he's one of those pretty boys who has to have a sugar mama to kind of feed him money. And when she kicks him out of the house, it just doesn't happen. This book stuck out to me because of the weight loss journey, because of how the character struggles for this. Rosie has a business, and she, has a not necessarily a rich lifestyle, but she is rich. And she doesn't parade around. She doesn't do any of that. And so basically, I really like this book because it shows Rosie's struggle to lose weight as well as find herself after her divorce, and in the struggle of, keeping her ex out of her life, and he's breaking into her house. She starts training for a triathlon or a marathon or something like that, and she falls in love with her trainer. So this book, even though it's like whole divorce aspect, lottery winning, it still is a really great book with that romance twist to it. So I highly recommend this book if you really want to pick me up, or if you are struggling to lose weight or you want to start losing weight. This book always motivates me to get up and moving and start losing weight, because this book just talks about it, talks about the struggle, it talks about how food tastes gross. This book is that for that. The book I want to talk about is part of a series, and I'm going to talk about the next book in the series, but this book happens to be book number 2, and this book is Neat by Candy Steiner. Neat is about Logan Becker and Mallory Scooter. Their families founded a whiskey distillery in their small town in Tennessee. They, were best friends. Their great-grandfathers or their grandfathers were best friends. They started this business together. One grandfather passed away, and the Becker grandfather passed away, and his family was supposed to get half of the distillery, and he didn't. So, the Beckers are at war with the Scooters over this. Logan does not want to leave the whiskey distillery because he wants his family name to still be entwined with the Scooter name in that distillery. This book has angst. Lots of angst because Logan wants Mallory, Mallory wants Logan, Mallory doesn't want anything to do with the Scooter side of her family. She doesn't want anything to do with her father. She isn't really happy with the situation. She basically makes a deal with the devil being her father, to get something in return. And she's forced to work with Logan. Things happen. They find clues to the fact that Logan's father may not have been killed in a fire in the whiskey distillery on accident. So this book has that suspense, has that romance, has that angst. This book is so full of angst, and I love this book. It was a really quick read for me. I read it in about 16 hours, and I absolutely highly recommend this book. Now, I must tell you, I have not read book 1. I've read 2 and book 3, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But neat, I really recommend this book if you want to just kind of jump into the Becker brothers and kind of see what's going on. This book is it for you. I really, really recommend this book. The next book I want to talk about is another Becker book by Candy Steiner. This is Manhattan. This is about Michael and Kylie. Kylie is best friends with Michael, has been best friends with Michael all of her life. And Michael just dropped a bomb on his family that he's moving to Manhattan to start his music career after a very bad breakup with his ex-girlfriend of 2 years. This book is full of angst because Kylie has secretly had a crush on Michael from the very beginning. She, wants to date him. She stood by and was his best friend through his 2-year relationship. She was right there by his side when he was falling down the pits and being depressed. She sets a goal to remind him why he loves their hometown and make it one last chance for her to tell him that she is in love with him. Things change when he starts to realize that she is no longer the little girl he was friends with, but has also grown into a very beautiful woman. This book, yes, it's full of angst, and yes, it's full of mystery about the Becker brothers' father, and it's interesting in the sense of, okay, what's going to happen next, and you're wondering. I cried. You guys, cried 8 times reading this book. There were so many long speeches, so many wonderful speeches, so many hurt-filled speeches that I cried. My husband looked at me one time and said, "Why are you crying?" And I just held up the book and said, This is why I'm crying. Candy Steiner knows how to work with your emotions, and Manhattan does that. I absolutely really recommend you read these books. If you don't want to read any of the other books, because there's only 3 out so far, the 4th one will be coming soon, this book is it. If you want to jump into the Becker brothers and kind of see the situation before you read the other 2 books, this book is it. I highly recommend reading this book even if you don't read the other ones, because even though it's emotional and it tugs at your heartstrings and you may cry, it's a really, really good book. So the next book I want to talk about is a Gaming the Systems novel by Brenna Aubrey called For the One. This book stuck out for me because it talks about autism. The main male lead, he is William Drake. He is a cousin or something to the owner of a big gaming company, but he is autistic. He is into Renaissance fairs and that kind of thing. He blacksmiths, he makes weapons and all that stuff, but he is autistic. And so this book shows the struggle of being autistic while trying to fall in love and deal with having a crush on somebody and not really knowing how to handle that. This book covers autism in such a way that I fell in love with this book, and I very, very, very am highly likely to actually read this book after I finish this video, because this book stuck me so hard. I love this book because I have multiple family members that have autism. I know a lot of people with autism, and autism is a very hard thing to deal with for certain people, and Brenna Aubrey did a very great job of portraying an autistic character who just so happens to actually find love, have a job, find things he loves, and I can't recommend this book any more than ever before, because this book is just so good. I can't rave about it enough. I can't say so many good things about it. This book is amazing. If you are looking for something that is heartfelt, that is a little out there with the autism and the Renaissance fairs and the, all the other stuff, I really recommend this book. because it will pull at your heartstrings. I did not cry, but it pulled at my heartstrings, and it made me really grateful that she portrayed William in a way that it was great, and it shined a light on autism, and it shined a light that autism isn't bad, that autistic people can grow up and have lives and do things that they need to do and live on their own and do things that they need. So this book is one of the biggest and best books I've read of the year, and this is one that I probably am going to read again this year. This book I want to talk to you guys about is by Georgia Kaufman, and it is Strip for Me. This book is hot, hot, hot. I'm telling you, this book is hot. This book is about a male stripper who seeks out a woman in the crowd. You know, he's doing his thing, and he's drawn to this woman. He's been burned by a woman at a strip show before, and so this book's about his struggle with trying to get over the past, open himself to new relationships, but also struggle with his dreams aren't being met. He's dealing with lots of angst, lots of just inner turmoil, lots of different things. This book is absolutely amazing. The main characters are great. Georgia did a really great job. She portrayed the male stripper in a very good light, and some of the things she wrote about are true. That happens in an all-male review. I've been to one, and things that she talked about in this book happened there. Now, I didn't get to see the backstage, like, friendships, but I mean, you can imagine that these guys are super friendly with each other because they work with each other, they travel with each other, they dance every night with each other, you know. So this book, even though it's angsty a little bit, both main characters are struggling with different things. One, you know, struggling with the fact that she doesn't want to be a part of her snobby sister's wedding and, you know, everything that comes after it. The other, because he wants to own a hotel and he wants to have a bigger, better life, but he doesn't want to give up stripping. This book is amazing. I can't sum it up for you guys in any better terms. I just basically have to tell you to read this book. It is a very, very good book. I ordered it right after it came out, and I even got it signed, so I absolutely am loving this book, and I really recommend you read Strip for Me by Georgia Kaufman because she did a wonderful job. This is going to be a series, and I do know that she's got at least 2 more in the series that she's working on right now. I don't know when those are coming out, but as soon as they do, you can guarantee I'm going to order them. Books I'm going to talk about are by Nora Roberts, but the first book I'm going to talk about is The Obsession. This is leaning more towards, the next books are going to lead more towards suspenseful romance type things, but The Obsession is about a young girl who finds out that her father is a serial killer. She finds one of his victims, she rescues them. The whole first probably third of the book is about her rescuing the girl, dealing with the aftermath of that, knowing that her father's in prison, having to leave her home, trying to hide her identity, her mother killing herself. Just so much stuff happens in the beginning of this book, and I couldn't stop reading it because it was just so good. You guys, this book was absolutely amazing. Nora Roberts did a really good job writing this, and she did a really great job with everything that happens afterwards. She gives the characters meaning afterwards. She gives them like a purpose, and she gives them the opportunity to kind of grow from their experiences. I really like how Naomi in this book transformed from the scared little 11-year-old, 2 days shy of being 12, finding the girl in the bunker in her backyard, to this great photographer who isn't afraid to face what's coming at her, who's coming at her. She's not afraid to stand her ground, and she's not afraid to stand up for herself and or what happened. So I really, really am very, very going to recommend this book to you, because this book is what actually got me to reading more romance suspenseful books, and this is one that I just can't stop reading over and over. So the next book I'm going to talk about is Shelter in Place. Shelter in Place is another suspenseful romance book. But in this book, instead of a serial killer, It is a mall shooting, a mall mass shooting. A young girl, is hiding, all these things happen. It is from multiple people's point of view. I'm going to say that now. This book is about multiple different people's point of view, multiple different survivors, multiple different viewpoints on what happened throughout the whole mall scene. It shows them growing up and how they each have a struggle, growing up, going out in public again, dealing with things, teenagers at their first jobs, teenagers out with friends. It goes through all of that stuff. It takes you through the mind of the sister, the mastermind behind the mall shooting. It takes you through the whole, hit list kind of vibe, the whole, oh my God, is she going to get caught? Why is she killing these people? To, oh my God, she's sadistic. To, oh my God, their love affair is starting. Just all these things are happening, and these things, really contribute to this book. Shelter in Place, really, after reading this book, I walked into the mall in my town and immediately thought of this book, because this book talks about in detail what the mall kind of looked like, and it vaguely described the mall in my town. And so when I walked in there, I was like, oh my God, oh my God, this is I immediately went there after reading this book, not even thinking, but this book really reminded me of that mall, and walking in there, it was crazy. But I really, really recommend this book because yes, it's suspenseful, yes, it's different, but Nora Roberts did a really great job in writing this, and I just have to say that her suspenseful romance books are becoming my new favorite obsession. Book of my top 9 of 2019 is Undercurrents. Again, it's another romance suspenseful book that I absolutely enjoyed. The only thing I have to say about this book that's negative is that it's got a lot of trigger warnings in it. For those of you who are triggered by child abuse, spousal abuse, mental, emotional, physical abuse, this book is not going to be it for you, because the very first 8 or 11 chapters, between 8 and 11 chapters, are strictly pretty much abuse. Child abuse, spousal abuse, mental, emotional abuse, physical abuse, all of that. So this book is full of trigger warnings. But once you get past all those triggers and you get past all the setup of what's happening, you get to the down to earth, nitty gritty, romance, suspenseful vibe of this book. This book is about Zane, who was a, victim of parental abuse. His father abused him. His mother just let it happen. He, saved his sister and himself in a very harsh way. A lot of things happened when he saved them that night, but he saved them. He became a lawyer to prosecute people like his father. And this whole book is all about this, survival. He meets a woman who just so happens to be another victim, but not of parental abuse, spousal abuse. So she is also, starting new. She made, a job for herself. She decided to pick up and move to a new city, to a new town, after her mother passed away in an accident. And, it's all about them starting new and starting fresh and falling in love, and her doing all these things with the landscaping. And this book is just amazing. It does go into more trigger warnings near the end of the book because abuse does happen again. But I do have to say that this book is wonderful. With the trigger warnings, with all of that happening, this book was well written from a victim's point of view, from, just how they grew up, just how they handled everything. This book was well written. Nora Roberts handled this book very well. It could have been written poorly, and I was afraid it was going to because I read a lot of mixed reviews on this book. But what I can say is this book was absolutely wonderful. I can't even just stop thinking about this book. I literally just finished this book about a week ago and I still want to read it again. I'm going to tell myself not to, but it's really good to read this book, and it's just another one of her romantic suspense books that I thoroughly enjoyed. I can't wait to see if she comes out with more like these, because I am super excited to read these books. That's it for my top 9 of 2019. I am super excited to have filmed this video for you. I wanted to share all these books with you, and I have shared all of these books on my Bookstagram account. I've linked that in the description below. But I just had to share these books with you guys because these books are ones that touched my heart in so many different ways, and I just wanted to share. So I will see you guys next week with another video, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.